Not canon. You can't just take the damn kid from Gypsy. You can't leave us here with Gypsy. You're gonna have to take her too. No fucking takebacks, Ken. No takebacks. Canon, you can't threaten the kid with her like that. What the hell you doing? You gotta behave over there. And if you're gonna go back to Texas, you gotta take the Jibinator. Why the hell did you let her get away with it this long? You're gonna have to do something, Kenan. Why the hell is she sending pictures of the baby to Ryan's? That's your whole ass baby. Someone's gonna have to do something. Someone's gonna have to get it together. Gypsy, stop texting my mans. I've been saying this. Everybody already knew that they were going to get engaged too. Of course, Cannon's at the ring shop. You know what I'm saying? Of course. Gypsy made him. It's going to be a happily ever after. Gypsy's going to have the happily ever after she ever fucking wanted with Cannon. He's real nice. Gypsy, best of luck with that. I would suggest going back to Ryan's if you could, but I don't think he's going to take it back at this point. I'm not letting him because that was too much. You can't be doing that. You're playing with everybody's emotions at this point. I thought I had Pookie, then I'm losing him, then I'm getting it back. Gypsy, pick one.
Ken Urker, the man once hailed as Gypsy Rose Blanchard's post-prison anchor, has officially hit his limit. The fantasy of a fresh start has shattered, and what's emerging from the rubble is anything but peaceful. Ken isn't backing out quietly. He's lawyering up and making one thing clear: he's fighting for full custody of their daughter, Aurora. Not co-parenting. Not shared weekends. Full custody. This isn't just a breakup, it's a full-scale implosion of what was supposed to be Gypsy's new chapter, but the cracks were already showing. And now, everything is falling apart. The beginning of the end? A single conversation that probably never should have happened. Gypsy told her parents she was seriously considering reconnecting with her ex, Ryan Anderson. Not just to talk, she floated the idea of bringing baby Aurora along to meet him and even take a paternity test. That suggestion was enough to obliterate whatever fragile trust remained. Ken didn't shout. He didn't lash out. He simply said, if she went through with it, he'd leave. Not just emotionally, physically. He would pack up, move back to Texas, and file for full custody. This wasn't an impulsive threat, it was deliberate, measured, and deadly serious. And for once, Gypsy knew he wasn't bluffing. Now here's what makes Ken dangerous in this battle: he's calm, calculated, and consistent. He has a stable job, a steady home, and a composed demeanor that resonates in court. Gypsy, on the other hand, is stumbling through a public spotlight with no steady income, no routine, and a chaotic social media presence that courts are likely to scrutinize. Judges don't care about who has more followers, they care about structure, safety, and who can offer a stable home. On paper, and in reality, Ken's ahead. And Gypsy? She's on shaky ground. Let's talk about Louisiana, because its custody laws are ironclad. When parents share custody, either can relocate the child out of state without a judge's approval. So, for Ken, moving Aurora back to Texas is off the table, unless he's granted full custody. He may have once dreamed of starting over, escaping the noise, building a peaceful life away from Gypsy, but that door is now closed. Instead, he's stuck in Louisiana, tethered to a situation that's spiraling fast, with a woman he barely recognizes anymore. All because he chose to be present in his daughter's life. That choice, though noble, has locked him into an emotional and legal storm that's already draining him. What he thought would be a family has turned into a legal battlefield, and his only way out may be through the courtroom doors. Meanwhile, Gypsy seems to be taking misstep after misstep. Rather than focusing on bonding with Aurora or creating a calm, stable environment, she's glued to her phone. Constant live streams. Responding to comments.
Not Cannon. You can't just take the damn kid from Gypsy. You can't leave us here with Gypsy. You're gonna have to take her too. No fucking takebacks, Ken. No takebacks. Cannon, you can't threaten the kid with her like that. What the hell you doing? You gotta behave over there. And if you're gonna go back to Texas, you gotta take the Jibinator. Why the hell did you let her get away with it this long?
And let me tell you, Gypsy Rose is playing Ken and Ryan like it's a game of chess. And she's always 3 moves ahead. Okay, so nobody's saying this out loud, but I will. Gypsy Rose is playing Ken and Ryan against each other, and neither one of them see it. One minute, she's loving on Ken and posting TikToks of Ken. And the next minute, she's all up in Ryan's text messages, talking about how Ryan is her comfort. But here's the kicker. Every time she wants something from one of them, she uses the other to get it. Look what you're missing. He treats me better. It's giving emotional chess with 2 human pawns. And before anybody says maybe she's just confused, let's remember, this is the same woman who manipulated doctors, Nicholas Godejohn, and the entire world into believing she was some sick victim for years. Control and emotional leverage were literally her weapons. So now she's just using the same tactics, but this time it's for attention, it's for love, and let's be real, it's for clout. Gypsy Rose knows exactly what she's doing, guys. She keeps Ken close enough to feel needed, and Ryan just far enough to feel guilty. That is not love. That is manipulation. Pure manipulation. And that mirrors exactly who she was before prison. Someone who spent her entire life keeping people off balance. So the real question is, has Gypsy Rose actually changed? Or is she just repackaging the same behavior?
Getting caught up in online drama, and it's not just a bad look, it's leaving evidence. In one live stream that quickly drew backlash, Gypsy was chatting casually with her friend Bree, laughing and gossiping, while baby Aurora cried in the background. Not for a minute or two, for nearly half an hour. If Gypsy wants to prove she's a devoted mother, her actions are telling a very different story. It wasn't that Gypsy tried to soothe her baby or even paused to pick her up. Instead, she just kept talking, as if the crying in the background was nothing more than white noise. When viewers called her out, Gypsy responded with an explanation that felt more like damage control than sincerity. She said she didn't want to parent the way her own mother did, cold, manipulative, and overbearing, and that she was trying to offer love and comfort instead. But the way she said it? It sounded like she was trying to convince herself more than anyone else. It didn't feel like a genuine moment of care. It felt like a performance. Because here's the truth, you can say anything you want on the internet. You can post rehearsed statements, go live in tears, or frame your choices however you like. But when your baby is crying for extended periods and you barely flinch, the internet sees it, and worse, it remembers. One of the most unsettling glimpses into Gypsy's post-prison reality has been how she talks about her own daughter. Instead of using affectionate terms like my baby, or even calling her by name, Aurora, she often refers to her as that baby, this tiny person, or, disturbingly, this thing. It's not just awkward, it's cold. The kind of emotional detachment that makes you wonder if she feels bonded to her child at all. Listening to her, it's as if she's talking about a stranger, not someone she carried and brought into the world. And it's not just in her words, it's in her body language too. Watching Gypsy hold Aurora is often uncomfortable. Her posture is stiff. Her arms don't cradle the way a mother's instinctively should. Even simple acts like feeding come across as robotic, like she's going through the motions without any emotional presence. She doesn't look like a new mom trying to bond, she looks like a babysitter clocking hours. Then there's Ken. Exhausted or not, you can see the difference. When he picks up Aurora, there's intention in every movement. He feeds her gently, rocks her calmly, holds her close with care. No live streams. No audience. Just a father showing up the way a parent should. The contrast couldn't be clearer. While Ken appears grounded and present, Gypsy looks overwhelmed, emotionally distant, and disconnected. And no, this isn't about shaming her for struggling. Every new parent faces challenges. But what's concerning is the visible lack of connection. Her own words and actions tell a story far louder than anything she says on camera, and that story is being recorded, piece by piece. Gypsy has always had a need to control the narrative. Her image. Her relationships. Her story. But now, she seems to be trying to control Ken too. There was a moment where she asked him, "You still share your location with me, right?" It might have sounded innocent, but the tone was loaded. Rumors later circulated that Ken started leaving his phone at work just to keep the GPS signal in place while he stepped away. If true, that says a lot.
So kids, this is what happens when you use a baby as a pawn or some accessory to keep a man. It's just not going to work in your favor. And this is a prime example. Gypsy now has an attitude with him, and she's noticing he's giving the baby attention and not her, and it really never made him fall in love with her. So let's watch this little clip. I really like this fire pit going on. I want this, whatever this is. Okay.
Is mom doing good postpartum so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know what I can do to help you. I know that I work and sleep. I'm not at work.
Work and sleep.
Work and sleep. And then, but in the daytime before I go to work, just let me know if there's more that I can do.
I can't always hold her. I can't always,
Oh no. Not if they're
but,
holding her.
only person taking care of her. So, it does help to have.
Well, even you haven't been. I've been
I know.
playing a big part in helping take care
I
of
know.
it.
I'm not saying that you haven't been. I was just saying that, if I was, that would be really hard. So,
That's not someone avoiding a fight. That's someone planning his own quiet exits. And while Gypsy might think she's steering public opinion in her favor, it's slipping. The audience is starting to turn. Defensive replies, vague jabs, and the constant bashing of her ex are wearing thin. People aren't seeing a survivor anymore, they're seeing someone unraveling. Even Ken's mother reportedly stepped in, offering to help with the baby and gently guiding Gypsy through the early stages of parenting. But Gypsy, eyes glued to her phone, barely looked up. That's not just dismissive, it's revealing. Judges notice things like that. So does the public. Because when it comes to custody in Louisiana, the court isn't just interested in biology. They look at the entire picture: emotional bonds, parenting capacity, home stability, moral character, financial responsibility, and any prior history of abuse or neglect. These aren't just legal checkboxes. They're defining factors in determining who should raise a child. And right now, the scales are tipping, and not in Gypsy's favor. These aren't just minor concerns. In custody court, they're the kind of details that define outcomes. They're the difference between keeping and losing your child. Let's talk about Gypsy. Yes, she's no longer behind bars, but freedom doesn't automatically mean redemption. What we're witnessing now is just as crucial as the past. Since giving birth to Aurora, Gypsy's actions have raised real and lasting concerns. Despite Aurora suffering from severe reflux, Gypsy has spent hours on live streams while her newborn cries in the background. Her online presence has been constant and chaotic, filled with rants about motherhood, dramatized breakdowns, and a visible lack of natural maternal bonding. Rather than nurturing her baby, she seems more invested in maintaining attention. Her words, her choices, they echo manipulation, not care. And then there's Ken. While not flawless, he's taken an entirely different path. Quiet, consistent, and committed. He feeds Aurora. He rocks her to sleep. He handles the exhausting night hours after putting in full days at work. There's no camera in his face, no performative energy, just presence, just effort. And in the eyes of the court, that matters. Judges don't look for perfection, they look for dependability, emotional stability, and a safe home. Right now, Ken is ticking all the boxes. Gypsy, meanwhile, seems stuck in a spiral. Publicly and privately, her life is unraveling. There's a telling moment where she confronts Ken, saying she doesn't want to be the only one caring for the baby. His response is calm but revealing. He reminds her that he is participating, more than she seems to notice. Her tone quickly softens, but the damage is already done. The frustration is visible. She doesn't see his efforts. She doesn't seem to value them. And for Ken, that's a breaking point. Emotionally, he's already pulling away, and Gypsy can feel it. That's when she begins reconnecting with Ryan Anderson, her ex. Whether it's about revenge, comfort, or relevance, it's another layer of chaos. A distraction from the real issue. In Gypsy's mind, having a baby was supposed to fix everything. She believed Aurora would be the glue, the healing force, the missing piece to create the loving family she's always wanted. But real life didn't cooperate. Instead of bringing them closer, the baby magnified every crack. Small misunderstandings turned into silence. Distance became detachment.
All right, y'all. At what point do Christy, Rod, Ken just look at Gypsy and go, you know what? Maybe she hasn't changed at all. Because right now, given serious I can fix her energy, and y'all, she broke the whole motherboard. Like, how many red flags do they need? She's spinning lies, jumping between men, doing press tours, and turning diapers into drama. Y'all, it's deja vu all over again, but this time, she's got a TikTok account. Do they not remember how this story ended the last time? Oh, that's right. It ended in murder. But sure, let's just hope for the best this time around. Rod's probably out here like, she's just finding herself. Sir, she found the lifetime camera crew, not accountability. And y'all, Christy, let's be real, Christy's the whole PR team. She's got her clipboard, press releases, and probably a statement drafted just in case Gypsy and Ken break up. Ken? Let's talk about Ken. Ken is the emotional cast member at this point. Blink twice if you're okay, Ken. At what point do they stop being supporters and start becoming enablers? Because y'all, again, this is not her evolving. It's just her rebranding. Y'all, do me a favor, drop a comment if you think that they are enabling her. Or are they just too scared to admit the Gypsy that they stood by never really changed? Y'all, let's talk about it because the pattern is loud and clear. And I know I'm not the only one seeing it. I'm just saying,
While Ken grew into fatherhood, Gypsy seemed to drift further away, from Ken, from Aurora, and maybe even from herself. Ken didn't walk away. In fact, he leaned into parenting harder than ever. You can see it in the little moments, how he gently kisses Aurora's forehead, how he cares for the family dog, how he stays grounded without needing an audience. He's present. But when he interacts with Gypsy, it's like she isn't even in the room, and that silence? That quiet departure of emotional connection? It hurts more than any argument ever could. Here's the difficult truth. When Gypsy talks about wanting her daughter's love, it doesn't sound like a desire to nurture, it sounds like a need to be validated. She's not building trust, she's seeking approval. But unconditional love from a child isn't given freely. It's earned, through care, presence, consistency. And Gypsy? She's chasing it without laying the foundation. That's the heartbreak, and then, things get darker. Gypsy has developed an obsessive fear surrounding SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, but the way she talks about it isn't typical new mom anxiety. She asks disturbing questions. What if I kill my baby? What if she dies because I do something wrong? These aren't quiet, passing worries. They're repeated, public, and delivered with an eerie, almost rehearsed tone. It's unsettling. To some, it feels like she's planting seeds, crafting a narrative, just in case tragedy strikes. Whether she realizes it or not, she's building a story that could one day be used as a defense, not as protection for the baby, but as a justification for herself. Even the way she talks about parenting is troubling. She refers to taking the night shift as though raising a newborn is some kind of job with clock-in, clock-out hours. She complains about being tired, about missing sleep. But while she's venting, Ken is working full-time, coming home, and still showing up for Aurora without fail. And here's the scariest part, it's all happening in plain sight. The signs aren't hidden, they're not buried behind closed doors. They're on camera. In her tone. Her expressions. Her live streams. Her social media rants. The emotional unraveling is loud, visible, and deeply concerning. Ken, on the other hand, is keeping steady. Quiet. Focused. And while Gypsy may not see it, the public does, and so will the courts. Ken Urker is done playing along. He might still be in the house, but emotionally? He's already moved on. His next steps won't be romantic, they'll be legal. Gypsy is spiraling, grasping for attention, control, and affection in all the wrong places. Her behavior is being documented not just by followers and critics, but possibly by lawyers too. The custody battle is coming. And unless something shifts drastically, it's not going to end in her favor. Ken isn't reacting out of bitterness. He's preparing to protect his daughter. And Gypsy? She's at risk of losing the very thing she believed would finally give her the love she's always craved. But this isn't a social media arc. This isn't a viral drama. This is a real child. A real life. A real future, and Gypsy Rose might be watching it all slip away, again. This isn't just entertainment. It's a reminder that real lives are at stake, especially the life of a child who didn't ask to be part of the spotlight. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into stories that matter. Your support helps keep these conversations going. Thanks for watching.